Well, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our MindManager webinar, Mac is Back. What's new in MindManager 11 for Mac? Okay, a quick introduction. So my name is Rainer Obesser. I'm working for MindManager as a sales engineer, trainer and consultant in Germany. And I have my colleague, Thilo Henrich, with me. Thilo is Supervisor Tech Support for Corel Mindchat EMEA. And Thilo is, other than me, an avid and passionate MindManager Mac user and will be therefore the right person to do the actual demonstration and presentation of the new feature. I will be your host of today's session, host and moderator. So I think that's it. Oh, actually, Thilo and I are both located in lovely Altena. That's a little town close to Frankfurt, Germany, which is actually the location of the Corel Mindchat headquarters in Europe. And I welcome Thilo, by the way.
Yeah, hello everybody. Thank you for joining us today on the MindChat webinar on the new Mac 11 release. We're very proud of it, and hopefully you'll find some nice features which we can show you today in this session. So Rainer,
okay,
let's
get
Thilo. On the road.
Open the agenda map.
Okay, sure.
Here we are. So this is actually an overview of what we're going to talk in today's session, covering the areas of new features or product enhancement and improvement. First section is all about visualization, enhanced visualization possibilities with the new Mac version, coming in two different areas. First, we show you the new background object that we have actually introduced for the Windows version in the previous release, and which can now also be used in the latest Mac version. And then we are going to show you the new types of diagrams that you can create with those background options. And on top of this, I'm going to introduce two exciting new layouts that will also allow you to have even more visualization possibilities with MindManager 11 for Mac. Next section is all about mapping. Let me call it advanced mapping features. Specifically here, we are looking into the task management features and all the improved and new options we have here. So it's about task planning and scheduling with MindManager. And another really exciting feature area is it's called Map Rollup here. This is a new feature that lets you create dashboard that shows information from other maps in one big dashboard map. So these are the enhanced mapping features, and the last section for today is about sharing, because I mean the nicest maps are worth nothing if they cannot be easily shared.
Sure.
And we have done improvements actually in two sections here. One is we updated the already existing HTML export for local sharing of your maps, and the publishing feature is just making this, takes this one step beyond and makes it even easier to share your content with the rest of the world by using a cloud service and just invite your audience to this one. So I guess this gives you an overview of what we are going to touch today, and I'd say let's get started with the new background object. So this map, and it actually is a map, or it is a diagram consisting of these new background objects, gives you an overview about the type of objects that can be used and what are they being supposed to be used for. They, first of all, allow you to enhance your existing maps or diagrams with like branding elements, adding a logo at some place to your existing map, for example, or create boundaries for so-called free-form diagrams like flowchart or workflow diagrams. I'm going to introduce those new diagrams later. So create boundaries, make it more easy to read and share those diagrams, or actually to design totally new types of diagrams, onion diagrams, Venn diagrams all together. So a whole range of new visualization potential based on these new objects. Okay, I think I've talked enough. Thilo, it's
Yes.
your turn now. Why don't you introduce and show the hows and whys of these new objects?
Sure. Okay, thanks, Rainer. Let's go through them just one at a time. We have several new background objects we can use. It's shapes, dividers, like you can see here, images for branding, or it's text boxes to put in text in your map. These are not topics, really text in the background, and also swim lanes, which come handy for flowcharts. We will talk about this in a minute, but let me start with shapes. Shapes can be added in the background. They can be formed as you like, but they are, as I already said, background objects, which means they're in the back of your topics. As you may know from the last version, they are always in front, but you can format them or even format the object as you like. Also, an important feature is that you can select the size, width, and height via numbers, so you can be very precise in formatting these. Also, as you can see here in the Format Background Object panel, you can select colors, transparency, so they shine through, and also other formatting things. Again, lines can be used to divide sections of your map to have some stuff there. Images can be used for branding, for instance, like here, the little core logo, and text boxes, as I told before, for text. Swim lanes, again, is something special for flowcharts, which we will talk about in a minute. And you can build swim lanes very easy. You can change the lanes of a swim lane by adding or subtracting them. They can be horizontal or vertical lanes. You have absolute freedom in this area. So these are mainly the background objects, which come in handy in a later demonstration anyway.
Okay, Thilo, thank you very much for introducing, let's say, the toolbox, the new toolbox you have. Now let's have a look what we can do with these new tools or these new objects. So this map that Thilo opens right now gives you an overview about the new type of diagrams created with those objects. These are the sections on the right-hand side of this map, talking about onion diagrams, Venn diagrams, matrices. But before we go into this, I'd like to introduce new layouts that come with MindManager 11. And what you can do with these new layouts. What is a layout? A layout determines the way how topics and subtopics are arranged in a map. And so far, all the layouts MindManager comes with are or have been hierarchical layouts. Now in MindManager 11, we are introducing a complete new non-hierarchical layout type. It's called the flowchart layout. And with this layout, you can actually create workflow or process diagrams. You can create concept maps. And in such diagrams, topics are related to each other in a non-hierarchical way, meaning in a process diagram, each topic is like a step in the process, and those steps get connected with arrows. And I think it's easier, Thilo, if you can start showcasing it will be easier to understand what I'm talking about.
Sure. Let's just start by building a little map, and we can choose one from the template, which is actually a flowchart map. This is an empty flowchart. Let's choose this. You see you have a start in the middle, and now you can easily add new topics. They are again not hierarchical. They're all on the same level. And also on the flowchart, it's that shapes do matter. In flowcharts, different shapes have different meaning. So we added lots of new shapes, especially for these flowcharts. They can be used in other maps, but for flowcharts they're especially important. Like for instance a database. Let me change this to a database so it directly changes. Also, decisions are often shown in flowcharts, and we added a decision add button basically where you can easily add a decision. So it easily builds a topic. This is the shape for a decision, and here's already inserted yes to one topic and no to the other, which also means you can add labels inside on the actual arrows, so you can put stuff there, what's next or what no, yes. That's basically what you can do. You also can move the actual shapes around with your cursors, so you can format them. Also, you can format it, move it around. Now, this is a rectangle shaped topic line, which is also a new feature, so it's looking a bit better, and you can move both around like this.
So Thilo, this means in this mode you basically can move your topics around freely with either the cursor or the mouse.
Sure.
It seems to be pretty different from like regular map mode, where are you pretty limited in terms of where you want to position a topic.
Yeah.
So in flowchart or concept map mode, you can move everything around freely and connect it independently with those relationships.
Correct. And also you can have more than one connection to a topic. Like here it has two. So you can have easy and build easy flowcharts in MindManager. So I think now is a time to make it a little bit more pretty, and we talked about the swim lanes before.
No, I just wanted to say,
okay.
It looks pretty much out of sync or underlined. Can you, is it possible to easily align those topics?
Yes, first of all, you can align it with your cursors, and also you can align topics with align. The align feature, which moves the topic aligned to the topic in the middle, so you have an easy way of aligning topics to each other.
So the align function is not new as such.
No,
it works in the map, but it works also in this mode. And by the way, the align feature also works, and I think Thilo will show this, for the background objects as well.
We'll come to that in a minute.
Right. Sorry, I've interrupted you, because I think, Thilo, you wanted to show how now you can use one of these new background objects.
Correct.
Specifically the swim lane object.
Correct. And I wanted to add a swim lane. Up here you have a button to just add a swim lane. For this map it's good to have a vertical swim lane. Let me just add one. Okay, now here I have the swim lane. I can move it around and can position it the way I like. Now it looks like that this swim has only 2 lanes, and for this little example probably 3 lanes would be nice. So let's put in another lane. Pretty easy here. You can move it around a bit and format it so it looks good to you. Let's remove the next. It's in the middle there. Okay. So now you have the actual map formatted. Right? And it already looks pretty good. But now let's add a background image to it. So like for branding, let's take the logo here, open it up, put it somewhere. Again, you can align it where your cursor or your mouse. And also, again, the align feature works here. And it's centered. Now you can move it. You can move both. If you select both objects and move them together, or move it a bit more together. Now, if you're happy with your background objects, there's another feature which makes working a bit easier because, as you may know, now working on maps, and if the backgrounds are, and sometimes you select the background object, move it around, so it can get ugly fast. So we have a feature we can lock the background. Let me lock all the background objects now. The background object cannot anymore be moved, but again, the map, you can add topics and work on your map. You can later unlock it and again work on the background objects or on your actual map objects, in this case, the flowchart diagram. Good. So that's a little example here. Let's get here and probably have a look at it a bit more.
Yes, right, Thilo. I was just going to suggest, why don't you show us a more elaborate, more enhanced version of a flowchart or process diagram?
That's what I wanted to do. Let's open up a new flowchart diagram, which is this one. And maybe, Rainer, you can say something, two or three sentences to that.
Yeah, the reason why we have chosen this one, I wanted to show you this one, is first of all to show you that like a flowchart diagram can be a little bit more complex than the one that Thilo just created. But the main reason is here that if you have a closer look in this map, you can see that these topics behave as topics you are used to from your regular maps. What I'm saying is each topic in a flowchart can also can have a topic note attached to it, can have attachments and hyperlinks attached to it, can be formatted the way you format your topics with colors, shapes, and everything. So as soon as you have your flowchart topic, you can work with it as usual, link to each other, and so on and so forth. And this is the real power underneath of this. The actual flowcharting features are somewhat limited, but good enough to create basic charts, but it's the combination that you can add all this extra information or relate to existing information that you can also do with your regular maps that gives you real power in this mode.
Okay, again, Rainer, here the background is still not perfect because there's a line really missing. So let me just add one line here to make this complete. And now the vertical line here, the separator, is not the way it's supposed to be because it's missing down here. Let's have a look at the actual format of the object. And down here you have the height of 1216. I can copy this now and basically go to that line and select the line and also right-click Format Object, and now I see the height is 971 and I can put 1216 in and the line is perfectly building down here. Now you could add a picture and other stuff, but just for the purpose of the demo, I think that's showing how you can use background objects to make your maps more elaborate.
Yeah, thank you, Thilo, for showing this, and it actually looks more complicated than it is in a while. I mean, we do not have supportive rulers or anything in this mode, but we can be very precise in terms of pixel size, and this really helps you together with the alignment feature to have your diagram actually look the way you need or want it.
Well, I could have used the cursor and everything to make the line longer, but I want it to be perfect, and that's why I used the numbers. So it's perfectly pixel perfect match. That's basically what I wanted to show with that.
Okay, thank you very much, Thilo. I think that's enough for the flowchart mode for now. Let's have a look at another new layout, the so-called timeline layout. Again, the timeline layout is a hierarchical layout, again, like the org chart layout or the regular map layout. The only difference is that the central topic and all the main topics are arranged along one common axis, either vertical or horizontal. And such timelines are normally used to display a list of events in chronological order. And yeah, I think before we look at examples, Thilo, quickly show us how we create this. Again, with all other layouts or diagram types, MindManager comes pre-shipping or is shipping with templates for this. So either pre-configured templates or empty templates.
Yes, let me just show here we have the new diagram types down here, like the timeline in the blank templates, or we have pre-filled timelines like this three here, like already pre-filled with some data, and so you more easily can build timelines. But again, let me just start up with a new empty timeline. And you see here now you have the main topic, and now you can enter new topics by just clicking enter and enter new data to it. Yes, Q2, Q3, and Q4. Pretty basic. And now let's make it 2018, right? So, yeah, and I missed the Q3 one. Now let's do that. So now we have 3 quarters. Now there's also a new feature. You can add topics like usual on the bottom, like this, but also you can add some on the top of it. So you have the way on 2 sides adding the topic. Let me show the task panes here. Okay, now this is basically the layout of a timeline, right?
The horizontal layout.
Right,
yes.
Right. And you also can switch it to vertical layout pretty easy here in the formatting section. So now it's a vertical, and now let's horizontal, sorry, and let's go to the vertical timeline. 1 click, and the timeline is looking much different. Now also here you can switch the layout of the subtopics from right to left, like this. It's pretty easy to format that timeline that way.
So with this, Thilo, everything is about changing the layout. So you either change the layout after having selected the central topic, and then, you know, the whole map turns from horizontal
Correct.
to vertical, or you select your main topics and change the layout of subtopics from left hand to right hand, or from up to down.
Correct.
And vice versa. And all these features give you more and pretty good flexibility in like creating the chart or the layout
Correct.
of the map that you want to.
Let's switch to a bit more elaborate example, which will show a bit
Yes.
more of the features
Yes.
there. I think it's a good idea to go that. Oh, by the way, just a little tidbit inside of it, because there are some small features which we don't feature completely today, but I just wanted to mention. Like, for instance, you have multiple hyperlinks on one topic. This was not possible with the old version. It's now possible to have multiple, like we're using here. We have 2 maps actually hyperlinked here. Let's start with the first one with Jan timeline and open it up. I just wanted to throw it in there.
Okay, this example is actually now the timeline layout applied to a map that is not depicting chronological items. It's just a regular map, and we choose this to show you that this can be applied to any of your maps. In this case, this would be an alternative to the org chart layout. Thilo, can you quickly switch to org chart just to demo that this is one layout?
Yeah,
just
sure.
Another layout. So you're selecting the main topic and have changed the layout to org chart, and this is the one you're probably familiar with.
Right.
Now you can see the timeline layout is just one more option you have to make your maps nicer or easier to read, or whatever
Correct.
you want to do with it.
And also, again, a little small feature here I wanted to point out is that you see the number of subtopics below. If you close down the actual level, you see here it's a 28, or you have 9 subtopics down here. So this is also a little feature, like makes life easy.
Okay, thank you. Let's open another example that is actually showing chronological items.
Let's go to the other one. That's the timeline. Correct. And this is the other timeline.
I see. Oh, actually, it's still My apologies for this. So it's still in German.
Oh,
but I think you get the idea of in which ways these new layout can actually be used and what nice things you can create with it.
right. This is basically a timeline of an event we did. So it's easy to, there are some topics here.
Okay, let's move on. Thank you, Thilo.
Thank you. Let me just clean up a bit because as you can see, another little feature we have here is we don't have multiple windows. You can have multiple windows with multiple maps, same as before, but we also have these tabs now in the upper part here. Let me just close some of these tabs down to clean up my desktop a bit. And we don't need that anymore. And now we are again at the template. And again, just to close this off, you have a little create a new tab. You can just press the plus button and you get a new map. So it's just little features that make life easier with MindManager 11.
Great, great. Now let's get back to the background objects more specifically and talk about the new diagram types that we can create with those, as are stated here: onion diagrams, Venn diagrams, and matrix diagrams. And we come with templates for each of these diagrams, either blank templates or pre-filled templates. Let's start with an onion diagram. So what is an onion diagram? This is normally a chart that displays items in like circles, concentric circles, where the items in each ring depend on items in smaller rings. Sounds pretty complicated. So this map actually should give you the idea of what this is. You might have seen something similar. This is a so-called stakeholder diagram. And this is basically, so these rings are created with background circle objects arranged concentrically, and then we are just simply placing floating topics on the appropriate location wherever this is. And as you can see, in this case, we have added images to the topics. And this is exactly the way you work with these new types of diagrams. The template is basically a pre-configured template in the background, and you are adding floating topics, and according to where you add them, this actually determines the meaning of this object or adds meaning to the object. Let's have a look at the so-called Venn diagram. It is pretty similar, same principle. So Venn diagrams, also called primary diagrams, set diagrams, logic diagrams, you name it. You might actually know them from school. They show possible logical relationships between collections of different sets. Again, sounds awfully complicated, but this simple example here should again, give you the idea. Here we have two different sets actually. Sets of concept, the sets of whales against the sets of fish, and in each sets we are actually placing topics that show the properties of these sets in here. Like as you can see, what do have whales in common? What do have fish in common? Now the most interesting part in this type of diagrams are the intersections between those circles, because here we place all these properties or topics that have actually attributes or properties in common that belong to both sets. And I mean, this whole idea makes it easy actually to convey or transport the message that you want to make with this. And this again is based on background objects being placed, then locked, and then using floating topics to actually enter the information.
Let's get to a bit more elaborate example. We have a second one here. It's a Venn diagram go to market. Let me just open that up. And this looks a bit more like business.
Yeah, this is more a real life example, because this type of diagram is actually being used. We found this through like research on the internet, and I mean, marketing people should be familiar with this. So this is used to lay out like the social media strategy of a given company, again by having those sets, earned actions versus paid actions versus owned actions, and place all your options you have in there to get a better idea how you are positioned in your current market.
Correct. Again, these are topics which can have the same properties as usual topics. You can add hyperlinks and add, like here, you have priorities attached to them. So that's pretty, you can use it pretty awesome at that point.
Okay, and the same principle actually goes for the last new diagram type, the so-called matrix diagram. What's a matrix diagram? This is used to analyze, again, information, in this case against 2 dimensions, and then place your information in one of the 4 respective quadrants that are created through these 2 dimensions each. And a good example for this is like a template for doing a SWOT analysis. Again, what you're seeing is 4 different background objects, rectangular objects, combined with the circle object. So this is just some work you spend here, and we have actually spent some work into this already by creating those templates that are ready for being used. And the way, again, is open your template, go in a brainstorming session with your team, and for example, in this case, do your SWOT analysis. So brainstorm your weaknesses, your strengths, threats, and opportunities.
Right. This is already built, elaborate, and we also have this as a template here, just to mention this. In the template in strategic planning, you find these metrics already
Right. Yeah, thank you, Thilo.
filled.
So for matrix diagrams, we have now blank templates. You find the templates in the strategic planning section within the pre-filled templates. And in this section, Thilo, you were too quick.
Okay.
Open it again. In this section, you find another interesting template. It's a variation of the matrix template. It's called Business Model Canvas. If you open this one.
Yeah, but we have a demonstration in the next, but I can
Doesn't
open
matter,
it.
whatever you...
Let's open the template.
Okay, so as you can see, again, these are background objects arranged in a way that is known as Business Model Canvas, various areas for you to position like your main value propositions, your customer, your main customers, your key partners in there. So again, this is interactively used in like a team session or brainstorming session. This specific example now is kind of an alternative, very popular now, to the traditional business plan if you want to lay out your positioning or strategy for any new business. And again, as before, you enter the actual information into topics, or floating topics, then can be positioned freely on any of these background objects and can be enhanced with icon markers or text markers, responsibilities, task information, whatever you need here. And again, I think that's enough now for the new diagram types. We have a lot of other options, so let's move on, Thilo.
Let's close down. Great.
And go to our overview, because now we are leaving the enhanced visualization area and going into the what we call advanced mapping features. And we are starting with really cool new features in the task planning and task scheduling area. And
so let me take over here and let's start with task management. There are some new things in MindManager 11 for Mac, and I created a little maps with 4 tasks here. It's pretty easy. Let's put the actual task panes in here. And some of the features you already know from MindManager 10, like for instance, you can add to tasks, you can add start date or due date. It's pretty easy. And automatically there's a duration added to that, and also progress. This is pretty basic as you already did before. But now it's getting interesting. For instance, if now I take the first task and set it to complete, it automatically gets green. So you have a visual representation of, okay, this task is done Fine. Now, again, to the second task, I'll move the due date to yesterday, and at the same time, a task gets read automatically. You can change some settings for these back down here for this map. You can
where did you click, Thilo?
Down here in calendar display options. You can find it down here in the right corner. And this will change the options for this. You can switch them off, or you can change the color. For instance, just pick a real bright red, and you automatically see, okay, this task, I need to take care of this. This is pretty important that I take care of this. The next real nice thing is you can have dependencies from tasks. So let me add dependency to these tasks. You can do it down here. And we have the standard dependencies, what are usually used. And for this example, I'll select finish to start, which means the predecessor task needs to be finished before the second task can be started. And also you might have seen now the red color is gone. Why is that? Because the first task needs to be done till today, and the second starts on tomorrow, so it's again in time. It's not in the past anymore. It's so automatically scheduled.
Thilo, meaning by adding a dependency, all those tasks, but the first one were automatically rescheduled.
Correct.
According to the restrictions that the dependency defines in the map.
Correct.
Okay, this looks like, I mean, it's might actually save you a lot of work. You don't need to reschedule manually any longer.
Again, down here in calendar and display options, you might have seen there was a map calendar. This is for the map, which means you can set your work days, holidays, or work hours per day. This is set for the map. In this area, there's a second section in MindManager where you can set it predefined for new maps, which is in the preferences. You can find this up in the preferences section. Why do you need a calendar, you might ask? And this is because you don't work on weekends. I hope not, at least. So now, for instance, if I take this task and put it on a Friday, due on a Friday, and it's automatically moved further away. That didn't work that way I wanted to, but again, put it to the 13th, and now it's moved out of the way because it cannot be on the weekend. It's jumping automatically over weekends. So yeah.
So with the calendar, you are actually setting all those days where any given task cannot be scheduled to. So it's just being moved through scheduling to defined working days or non-holidays. And this is
correct.
What you do with your map calendar.
Correct. And also a new feature, you can set a milestone. Milestone has no time, but if you're coming from project management, you might be familiar with milestones.
Okay. You said time, but you probably meant duration. So milestone has like a 0 duration.
Correct.
Of course, it does have
yes, it has a time.
Planned or scheduled
sure.
time for this.
Sure. Again, let's go to the next big thing. Basically, you can roll up tasks. So you can combine these information you find here to your main task by just roll up task info, which adds a new task roll up to the main task, which combines all the information and rolls it up to the main task. As you can see here, the task is partly done. And if I change more of these tasks, you see that the actual tasks move upwards and also is represented here in the task roll-up.
So the task information that we are rolling up here is actually task progress, as it looks like, and task duration, because I can see for the roll-up task now a total duration of 17 days, meaning my planned 4 tasks are now spanning a period according to the current schedule of 17 days. Thilo, I see something else here called E.
Yeah, that's called effort. It's also a new thing we have now in MindManager 11 for Mac, and it's called effort. Basically, you can have a duration for a task, or you can have an effort for a task. Like, for instance, Do you have a nice example? Maybe you need to build something in this week. You may write an essay this week, but the actual writing of the essay takes 2 hours. Let's, for the sake of the argument, take that time. So your effort is 2 hours, but the duration while you can do this is plan it for this week.
Right. Sometimes the term effort is being referred as the work, the actual amount of work that you put into a task. So the duration is like the slot, the planned slot for a task. Let's say you plan it within a week, but you know you're only putting like 1 or 2 days or 3 days work of this. And now MindManager allows you actually to enter and actually even roll up or sum up the effort independently from
Correct.
the duration.
Standard, the effort is linked to the duration. You can see back here with a little check. And if you remove that check, you can basically change the effort to 1 day, and the effort actually is changed and reflected here. It has 2 days now. 1 day is the effort, and you have 17 days on the duration, but only 60 days on the effort. But this is all very basic what we did here. Let's open up a little more elaborate example for this. Okay. So as you can see here, this is basically also looks quite the same. You have phases of your project with tasks dependence on each other and also task roll up. Basically same thing I did here, a little bit more enhanced. And yeah, so
Thilo, those relationship lines between those task topics, what do they stand for?
basically they tell you how the tasks depend on each other.
Oh, these are the dependencies now. And if
Correct.
you move the mouse, the cursor on it, it actually tells you the very type of dependency that you have added.
Correct.
In here.
Also, this is basically down here the dependency, how the task is dependent on the other tasks. Okay, I think that basically sums up the new task feature. Well, maybe one thing, if you roll up the main task, it also rolls up subsections together. So like now, you have your tasks in each section. But if you just go to the main topic and say task roll-up, also roll-ups are added on each section, which also then combine together on the main.
So it looks like parent topics become intermediate topics are also rolled up topics.
Right.
But this also means that if you have switched on roll-up on the main or central topic level, you need to switch it off again on the same level where you have switched it on.
Correct. But you could. Sure, you can, if you don't need the main roll-up, you can say take one section and just roll it up there. It's
okay.
You're flexible in that way. It's like you want to do it. So no. Okay, before we completely run out of time, let's go to the next section.
Yes, so we're still at the advanced mapping features. Now we have highlighted the scheduling or task planning features. Next section is called map rollup, and we just talked about task rollup. So we actually looked at the task information of topics and rolled or summed them up on a parent topic level. And the map rollup is pretty similar, as we are actually looking in independent maps for task information or other information and bring them into we call it dashboard map. So combine information from several maps into one dashboard map, and in this dashboard map do even a task roll-up with all the task information from the independent maps. Thilo, I'm sure you...
Sure. Let me do a little example. Basically, if you look from task management, basically it's nice to have it in one map, and now map roll-up is basically the next step using multiple maps. I already prepared a little map here starting a team dashboard and some demo maps here. Let me just open them. You see, basically it's the same information as we had in the example before. You have tasks, you have dependencies, and you have basic roll-ups. Again, the second map is from Rainer, same data, So they look all quite similar. Now they all have these information in there, and it's nice to have the information in one map and you can have them side by side, but if you want, you can combine them in one map like a dashboard, what we're doing here right now. So this is the new feature. You find it up here. It's called Map Rollup, and you can roll up now the map. Let's insert a new task rollup. First of all, you need to select your actual map. Let's take task Jan first. You could select one of the topics inside of the map to roll it up, but for this example, I take the main topic and do a little roll up. And let's do the second map also. Let's go for Reiner's tasks and open them up. Again, you can select the topic, but now I also want to see the branches, topic and branch. I select this down here and say OK. And now Reiner's map is also shown, but also the subtopics are included. Let's complete the map with the third roll-up from Stephen at that point. Again, same way how to do it. Now basically you have all the information you need in one map. One map also has the subtopics in here. Now if you're working with these maps, it's pretty easy to see information, but sometimes you want to go to the map you're actually working with. So there are also links here to the actual rolled up maps. You can just click it, like the one from Stephen, and you can go inside of the map, and this is the actual map. It opened up the map. Again,
so Thilo, this map Rainer, that it just looks like that you have inserted this little Rainer sub-project map into this map, but map rollup is not a real insert, so
no.
You're just showing the information of
Correct.
the map. So you're not supposed to change the information in here.
No.
If you want to do edits, you need to go back into the original map.
That's what the links are for. And also sometimes it's more easy to just close down. You can close down the links, so you only have the main topic, you only have the main information, the roll-up, the days and times back there. Sometimes it's more important to also have a look inside of the map. But these are basically a representation of the map. It's not for edit. If you want to edit, you can click on the map and go to the map. For instance, let's put in a little attachment here. Again, let's open up the attachment, put it in the map. Now, if you're in the dashboard, the attachment is not yet seen, but you can do a refresh of the map roll up, and the attachment will appear automatically, and it's now also available to you for open. Same goes for little icons here. If you change them in the actual map, they will change. Like, let's do a little demo here and do all the tasks. Done. Fine. All the tasks are done. Great. Go to back to team dashboard and refresh map roll up, and the information is now pulled from the map, and also the roll up is done. The information is active inside of the map, so in team dashboard you also could do a roll up task info to the main topic. So this is, I think, a very, very nice feature, I think, for using if you have a team with project managers and you want to look at projects.
So we have called this example team dashboard because actually it combines the independent team maps, Jan's projects, Rainer projects, Stephen projects into one large map that gives you the combined or rolled up status, total duration of all the 3 sub-projects together, and other information. As you can see, we are bringing in the task information of map roll-ups. We're also bringing in icons or text markers. We're also bringing in attachments and hyperlinks.
And text notes.
Topic notes as well.
Correct. So this is, I think, a very nice feature. Let's go to the next big thing. Okay, let me close that down here.
Yep, I think you agree that, I mean, the new task features combined with the map roll-up features really gives you nice and very powerful new options to actually do even more detailed planning with your maps and combine this planning into like dashboard maps. And now let's move on into our last section. It's about sharing, because I mean, especially dashboard maps, they want to be shared. They need to be shared because you need to show what's like our total combined project status, whatever. So how can we share this? And again, we have these two sections, interactive export and publish. They are pretty similar, but the publishing feature is just the next logical step behind the export session. Thilo, quickly introduce those.
Sure. Basically, the differentiator is the interactive export is basically local. So you don't need internet connection for this. This is basically, if you're on a train, you don't have internet, you can do these export locally on your machine. It's an export to HTML5. You might have heard this in conjunction with browsers. Modern browsers can all do HTML5. So it's cross-platform. You can use it on mobile platforms to view maps. It should have 100% map parity. You can have a presentation mode, which we'll show in a minute. But right now, let's just do a little export here. You can see HTML5 here. It's pretty easy. Next, just save the map. It's saved locally, and now you can open it. Let me just pull over my browser here, and you can see the map. Now, this is not MindManager. It's basically a file, an HTML file on your drive. So, and it works like a map. You could see the numbers of topics here. Close down open map. You can zoom in, zoom out, fit the usual transform stuff, and also you have a search. So you can, let's search for map. And you see you have different findings, actually 4 findings of map, so you can search if the map is getting bigger and switch from one to another easily and find this. So this is basically, but again, differentiator, this is local. It's not in the internet, but you can just put it in a mail or put it on a USB stick, give it to your friend, give it to your colleague, and they can, even if they don't have MindManager, they can basically look at maps.
Or I can actually embed this HTML file on my web page if I
wanted
to.
Correct. So that's basically the first step. This is called export. We had an export in my Mac 10. There are some new features which we show in conjunction with publish. For better this presentation mode. Let me do a second map here, open it up. It basically also shows the features of our publishing feature. So it's an own service from us where you can get a link to share with colleagues or friends, and they can just put the link inside of the browser and see the map. You don't need to send the actual file there. So let's again also do a new publish. Up here you have a publish, start new publish. Well, you need to log on with you need to create an account with your email address, but that's basically all. And then you can start your publish. You can choose publish or publish with a password, so you also can send over a password, and not everybody can basically, if they got the link, open the map. Now the publish is already done. You can view it here. If you're saying, oh no, that was wrong, I don't want to publish it, you can do an undo here. You can copy your actual link. This link would be then sent to your colleagues or to your friends. Also, you get already an embedded link which you can put in web pages to show or post them directly on social media. We support Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn at this point. So this is stuff you can do on this page. There are some advanced options, and they're very important because here you can select if you want the map to be able to be downloaded. So if somebody opens the map, he can basically download. I'll show this in a minute. And also you can say that the actual presentation mode is directly started, and again password. storage location can be selected. As I'm right now in the EU, my station is Frankfurt, but you can easily switch it to North America as a second source. And last but not least, you can put a little image in there for branding. So let's go.
This looks very interesting. Now, what happens, Thilo, if I've published the map and then shortly afterwards I noticed that I've forgotten something and started to re-edit the map? Do I need to republish it?
Just give me a second. I'll come to that in a minute. Let's first show the actual map. Now, I put in this, and you see this is not a link locally. This is basically online, and it automatically started in the presentation mode where you can walk through the map. In the presentation, you can see that it looks basically exactly the same as before. So this is a presentation. In the menu, as you remember, I said you can download. It was ticked. The download option was ticked, so I can download the HTML5, but also the actual map. So if somebody has MindManager, he can download the map and open it in MindManager and work from there. And if you select the presentation mode, it's not binding. You can just click on standard and you have the same basic look as before. Now, Rainer just mentioned that what happens if I change something in the map. Let's go back here to my actual map. And you see that up here there's a little logo said this map is published. Now, for instance, let's change some format stuff here and make a circle and fill it, let's say, for instance, with green. So now the map is changed and immediately the published has a little star, changes since the last published. As you asked before, now you don't need to go through the whole process of republishing, getting a new link. The link stays absolutely the same. You just say publish and update. Done. And now you published already the new map. Again, let's get our browser window up here. Now this is already the old map. Let's just update this. As it's set, it starts in publish mode. I go to standard, but here you see it's updated immediately. There's no thing. You can basically easy publish.
So this means the recipient of the map can always be sure that he's looking at the latest and current version of the map, as long as you
publish you're right. As you just click, you're right. And now it's...
And this seems to be pretty straightforward. Simply click on the republish button.
Also straightforward is to just unpublish it. If you say, okay, I don't want to publish it anymore, say unpublish. Now the map is completely removed from our servers. It's not anymore there. Now, it happens over time that you publish lots of maps, right? So you should have some way of managing that. So let me just open the manage window where you can see all the maps published under this account. So again, here you can unpublish or download the map and have some advanced options. But I just wanted to show that. So sometimes, it's like you can have hundreds of maps published and you never know which one is published. So you can go in your manage template in a manage and manage all your published maps.
How did you open this dialog again?
It's again up here. You have the actual publish menu. You can start a new publish, manage published maps. Also about publish gives you some idea what we're talking about, how it's cost and how long will the map stay online and stuff, where you can read about that. So that's also in this menu about publish.
Wow, pretty cool. Okay. Thank you very much again for being with us and joining us, listening to this. I hope, we could get you a little bit excited about the new features of MindManager.
We are definitely excited.
11, and you feel like incentivized to try it out as soon as possible. And please do so and have fun with all these new features.
Okay.
And
Thank
give
you.
us feedback, and hopefully we'll hear you again, or you hear us in one of our next webinars.
Thank you also from my side, and have a nice day.
Thank you very much, Thilo. Thank you much, everybody, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Customer, it would be great The quarter's coming to a close, so please don't hesitate. Place your order right away, there's no need to wait.